Good afternoon, friends. This is our midweek moment, or my midweek moment, for Wednesday, September 9th, 2020. Most of you know that I really love the Bible. Love just about every part of it. I may not agree with everything that's in it, but I love Scripture. And the reasons for that are many and varied. I love the stories. I love the instruction, the inspiration. But one of the things that I really, really like is that the Bible is just a collection in so many ways of the heights and the depths of human experience, the highs and the lows. And it says it and relates it to the reality of God in ways that sometimes take my breath away. I won't say that what I'm about to talk about took my breath away, but I was really struck the other day in following through the daily office lectionary. The office lectionary provides a selection from the Hebrew scriptures and a selection from the epistles, selection from the gospels, as well as a psalm or two. And we've been reading the book of Job. Um, Many of you know the story of Job. It's the oldest, most scholars think that it's the oldest poem in the Hebrew Bible. And you know the story as Job, it's set up as Job being this very just man that Satan or one of God's messengers says, well, he's only good because you do good things for him. And God tells him, well, just start taking things away. And it ends up that Job loses everything, right? You know this story. Job loses everything and is sitting there in sackcloth and ashes and gashing himself, and not a pretty sight. And his friends come to comfort him, and they try and convince him that even though Job has been a righteous man, and God knows this, that he must have done something wrong. Otherwise, he wouldn't be punished this way by God. And Job holds steadfast. He said, I haven't done anything wrong. I want to present my case to God. I haven't done anything to justify all of this stuff happening to me. And so there's this conversation between Job and his friends and all that sort of thing. And the other day, it was yesterday, came across this passage that, if I'd read it before, it hadn't really struck me. And it's in chapter 29. It's the very first part of chapter 29 of Job. And Job is speaking. And this, I think, partly because I was reading it in a different translation. This is the Common English Bible translation. And Job says, oh, that life was like it used to be, like days when God watched over me, when his lamp shone on my head and I walked by his light in the dark, when I was in my prime, when God's counsel was in my tent, when the Almighty was with me, my children around me, when my steps were washed with cream and a rock poured out pools of oil for me. What a wonderful depiction of how Job had been blessed before all of these catastrophes had happened to him. And as I was thinking about this passage yesterday afternoon, I was thinking, boy, I can hear myself saying this, and probably a lot of people at Good Shepherd saying, oh, that life was like it used to be, like days when God watched over us. And then all of a sudden, all this stuff happened. And none of it happened to Good Shepherd or anybody else because of what we've done. Although, like Job's friends, the news media and other folks would try and say, well, this is because of poor leadership, or this is because of climate change, or this is because of globalization and the way things travel. And so therefore, now we have COVID and poor leadership and all these other kinds of things have happened. Well, whether or not those things are true, what's happened to Good Shepherd has not been because of anything that we've done. It's just has happened. And so it's pretty logical for us to just sort of say, oh, that life was like it used to be. We want life to be back like it used to be in so many ways. And I say that to start with, and I'll come back to it in a few minutes, but we want to regather. We want to be with our friends and our loved ones in ways that feel good and safe and familiar, comforting. We want that so badly. And we know that it's going to be a long ways away until all of us are able to gather again. We know that that's going to be a long ways away. But even gathering together in small groups in the interim has been such a challenge. Um, a group of vestry folk had been working on trying to figure out how this was going to happen, and then we were sort of blindsided by um, the news about aerosols, and started working on how we were going to get together outside. Even the men's group was talking about getting together outside in a few days, and then the weather changes, and we're looking at that. It just seems like one thing after another that seems to prevent us from being back to even some semblance of the way it used to be. And now we know this is not bad news, this is good news. The Office of the Bishop has provided some guidelines for how we will be able to do communion. But it will not be the way it used to be. For the foreseeable future, it will only be in one kind. We will only be able to share the host. As celebrant or any other priest who is celebrating, we will celebrate, consecrate both bread and the wine, but the wine will not be shared. The host will be shared, and it will be done contactless, the new buzzword for our society, contactless. And we're trying to determine the best way for Good Shepherd to do that. But again, it won't be anytime soon. We still need to figure out how to regather. But this news coming out of the bishop's office has redoubled our effort, caused us to redouble our efforts to figure out how that will happen. And we've got the committee is working even harder now to try and determine how we can come back together, and then we'll determine how often communion happens. Is it going to be once? Is it going to be every week, every couple of weeks? What is that going to look like? We've been given some guidelines as to how we might be able to use Eucharistic visitors to bring communion to people who do not want to gather with others, but it would be the communion that was there consecrated there at the church. Still a lot of things to be determined. It's so hard. And I want you to know that of the many things that keep me awake at night, how we regather, how we will be communion together, how we achieve communion, as I referred to in my sermon on Sunday. These things are agonizing for me. They're agonizing for the wardens in the vestry. I know they're agonizing for so many of you. But it is something that we are laboring as quickly as we can, given Good Shepherd's unique, every congregation in the diocese is unique, given our unique characteristics, number of people who will gather, who cannot gather, external circumstances. We're going to start figuring out what we need to do to change the ventilation in the building to make sure that it's safe when we can get back in, to go back in. All of these things, they are so hard. And we are aware that it seems like it's taking forever. We will not, I said at the very beginning, we would not be the first church to regather. We won't be the last. But there are so many things to overcome, and we are working as hard as we can. But it will not be the way it used to be. Even when we are receiving communion, as I said, it will be just the wafer. It will be contactless. How we're going to do that, again, we're not sure, whether it's in an envelope that you pick up, a little cup, whether we use a cup that has wine in it. There are a number of options. We just haven't decided on what those will be. But returning to the book of Job, the book ends, as many of you know, Job recognizes that he is not in control, and he relinquishes the control of the universe to God, that it isn't Job's. And God blesses Job, I think, for that recognition. And Job is blessed beyond compare. And some people say he even got back more than he had. Maybe that's true. And maybe that will be true for us. But that does not mean that Job did not lose all of the things that Job lost. And so even though Job was blessed beyond compare at the end, it was not the same. The blessings were good. Job died a happy man, but he there were changes. And that will be the case for us. And so please pray for the committee that's working on regathering. Pray for your vestry. Pray for me. bid those prayers, and know that we are still striving to bring us back as we can, as quickly as we can, so that we can celebrate together our unity, our communion as a body of Christ. And in the meantime, know that your vestry, your wardens, and I will be praying for you and for all of us as we seek to enable us to move through this time that we still remain in COVID land. Blessings to you all, my friends.